Europe, by both area and population, is the second smallest continent in the world, but since the time of the ancient Greek civilization has been the most powerful continent. Renaissance took place here. Industrial revolution began here. Both the world wars were fought here. But after the onset of the Cold War era, the US and the Soviet emerged as the two new superpowers. Massive disintegration and high amount of losses were mainly responsible for Europe taking a backseat. Thus, on February 7, 1992, 12 member states came together to form the European Union. Through this, they aimed to achieve political stability by the help of economic growth. What they failed to perceive was that there are two sides to every coin.
In October 2008, the newly elected Greek government announced a debt of 300 billion euros, the highest in modern history. Eurozone defines a debt ceiling of 60%. Greece, on the other hand, was at 113%. Despite this, the Prime Minister insisted that no bailout was needed. But in following March, the IMF, along with the EU, agreed on a 22 billion euro safety net for the ailing nation. Severe irregularities revealed that Greece's budget deficit was 4 times the reported figure. As the euro continued to fall, the EU forced the government to undertake austerity measures and plan further spending cuts. A month later, though, a 110 billion euro bailout package was introduced in an attempt to contain this virus to Greece's borders. But an America-like situation had already started brewing up in Ireland.
The Irish debt crisis was because of six private banks who had financed a property bubble. In 2007, Irish banks lost 100 billion euros. The government, instead of letting the private bondholders face losses, borrowed money from the ECB. In the next 2 years, unemployment rose from 4% to 14%, and federal budget, which was in surplus back in 2007, went into a deficit of 32%, the highest ever in the history of the Eurozone. Owing to this, in November 2010, an 85 billion euro aid was provided for by the ECB. The country's stock market that had hit 10,000 points in April 2007 now stood at 1900 points, a 14-year low.
In 2002, Portugal had 270,000 unemployed people. In 2007, this figure shot up by 65%, leaving 200,000 more without jobs and homes. This led to a growing speculation that Portugal might be next in line for a financial bailout. Over the past 2 decades, the Portuguese government had indulged in over-expenditure through unclear public-private partnerships, which led to massive investment bubbles. Portugal was on the verge of bankruptcy. And so, in April 2011, the government admitted that it could not deal with its finances itself and approached the EU for help. A month later, an 80 billion euro bailout package was agreed upon between the Eurozone and the IMF. Being one of Eurozone's largest economies, Italy had been deemed too big to fail. At the same time, it was also considered too big to fail. But in late 2011, the Berlusconi government revealed that the country had a debt to GDP ratio of 120% and that the nation was under a debt of 1.9 trillion euros. This was a major concern for the whole of Europe because Italy is the third largest bond market in the world. Fears that Italy would not be able to pay what it owed drove rates on Italian bonds to over 7%. For the first time, talks of breakup of the union seemed believable.
In short, what happened was 5 European governments collapsed in just under a year, and that 2 of these belonged to countries like Spain and Italy, caused a huge scare throughout the EU. At this point in time, what the Eurozone needs is a stable economy that can pull them out of this recession. And they might have found the perfect match for this in Germany. Not only is Germany by far EU's biggest contributor, it is also the world's fourth largest economy. And the fact that the German Chancellor Angela Merkel, being referred to as Europe's Iron Lady, says a lot. She quelled all fears of a neo-colonization though, and she said that it's not Germany leading the others, but it's Germany leading with others. The question then that lies in front of the European Union is not what should have been done, but rather what now needs to be done.